Everyone here has been to a job interview. Or not a job interview, you've been to some place where you were judged, you were stressed, and most importantly, where you felt small. Fellow Toastmasters, I'm here to talk to you about how our nonverbals, our body language, can project power or project weakness. So what are you doing at a job interview? Likely right beforehand, you're in the hall, kind of sitting, not taking up much room, looking at your phone, or reviewing your answers. You get called in. You feign a smile. You try to pretend you're comfortable, but you sit down, you answer some questions, and usually what happens is you get no feedback, no body language feedback from them. They just look at you straight faced, kind of like the Matrix. Yes, Mr. Anderson. And this is the worst, and you're really stressing at this point. And all your answers are eventually trailing off into silence and quiet. So think of this from the interviewer perspective. They just went down the hall, they fished someone out who was too nervous to make a splash in the waiting room, and they come into your office, and they're just sitting almost quietly, trying not to make a mess. Now from his perspective, or her perspective, you look weak. And this is not a cultural thing, this is not how we perceive each other, but this is a universal or even a primal thing. There's been studies on this. The Harvard School of Business by Amy Cuddy has recently been a TED Talk on it. And she teaches a lot of MBA students, and as you can imagine, some of these MBA students are, let's say, assertive alphas. So when they come into the room, they march in, when they raise their hand, it's way up in front of you. As opposed to the others who, although not physically small, they sit down, they don't put their legs in the chairs. When they ask questions, it's hard to see because their hands are just like that. And she wanted to know if there's actually a difference between these two types of students physiologically. So she sets up that job interview experiment. So the role of the experiment goes is you spit into a cup, which I'll explain later. You go into a room for 2 minutes, and you spit into the cup again, and then you go have the most stressful interview they can give you. So half these students are told, when in the room, be powerful. Take up room. Stretch out, sit down, put your feet on the desk, stand in a Wonder Woman pose. Whatever you can do to make yourself feel like you own the room. Meanwhile, the students in the other room were told to be submissive, be small. Sit down, maybe legs crossed, protecting the neck kind of thing. If anyone else in the room, they shouldn't know that you're there almost. That's how small you want to make yourself feel. So 2 minutes is up, they spit into a vial, they go into the interview, and have a stressful interview. Now, those students who actually took on a more powerful role, or powerful posture, not only did they actually perform better in the interview, by the perception of some judges, their saliva showed that they actually had a 20% increase in testosterone and a 15% decrease in cortisol. I mean, they're more aggressive and less stressed. Vice versa for the other group. They actually had a decrease in testosterone and an increase in cortisol. So the way you can interpret this is in only 2 minutes, they not only they not only improved their outcome, they also changed their body physiologically, their physiological body chemistry. So this shows that whether you're powerful, whether you're weak, it's not an intrinsic property of yourself, but it's something that can be controlled, influenced, and changed. Again, that was 2 minutes. And I've seen this in my own life. When I was young, or even still now, in taekwondo, and over the years, I eventually started judging competition and so on. And those familiar with martial arts, we have patterns. Or those who aren't, they're fundamentally a series of movements you have to do in sequence in order to get promoted. And at a competition, you see that the color belts are there, and typically the attitude is they hate patterns. They see them as pointless, tedious, and no matter how well they do them, their instructors always ain't about how well they're executed, so they're never quite good enough. It's like cleaning the house when guests are coming over, and you have a girlfriend who thinks the house is never clean enough no matter what you do. Same kind of perspective there. So they come, and they kind of roughly, they go through it. Nothing impressive, they just go through it. They don't even look at you when they do it. Later on in the day, you're judging the black belts, the senior black belts. By senior, I just mean upper rank, not old. And it's very different. Now they are there to win. And it's not that you know that about them because you're also black belt, things like that, is that they make it known. So as a judge, they're all around the ring, much like this. I take a piece of paper with a name, and call it Matthew, and they're decide. And they jump up. Sir! And run to the center. So they look at you, you tell them, you nod them to proceed, they bow, they stand, they take their position, they stand. Stop! And immediately, everyone around who wasn't paying attention is now paying attention. In a few moves, out of usually 90 or 100, they have captivated the attention of everyone around. They have asserted their confidence, asserted that they're trained, but more importantly, they've asserted their presence. They projected their power. Now, I've known these people typically for a few years, and they didn't start off like that. They started off as the color belts, who didn't like doing it or were very weak. But through the years of refining the technique, every day, trying, or 3 times a week, trying to do it better and better and better, that technique refinement, the physical action, has actually empowered them. So years later, they are able to stand in front of a group of strangers or a group of peers and assert themselves. And I hope these 2 examples, Amy Cuddy, showing there's actually a physiological difference, and taekwondo showing that using these techniques you can actually grow, shows that you can change yourself. So yes, while others, how your nonverbal communication governs how others think and feel about you, and some would extend that to your nonverbals govern how you think and feel about yourself. These nonverbals can actually be used to influence, to change yourself. If you're not powerful to start with, you can become powerful through simply these actions. We can take that elsewhere. We can be here. Before I came up, I was trying to sit down confidently to be more confident. Outside, flailing my arms to give room. Now I'm trying to speak loud and waving my arms. Everything I can do to try and assert the presence in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmasters Matthew, for a wonderful demonstration there of physical activity and gestures. Would you all take a moment now, take a minute, and give Matthew some feedback on